Stop dating him. For a decade, we let Ted Mosby trick us. We thought this obsessive, heavy romance movie energy was the goal. But today, we know the truth. That isn't romance. That's just love bombing with a laugh track. Then, there's the antidote. Phil Dunphy, the guy who seems cringy because he's actually happy. Here is the brutal reality check. You think you want the drama of a Ted Mosby, but you need the safety of a Phil Dunphy. One is pure anxious attachment style panic. The other is secure attachment confidence. Today, we're fixing your love life by proving why the boring dad is actually the most exciting man on TV. Welcome to round one. We call this the grand gesture. Ted Mosby is the king of the grand gesture. He steals instruments. He makes it rain. He organizes a 2-minute date. It looks perfect, right? But look closer. Who are these gestures for? They aren't for Robin. They are for Ted. He needs to feel like the protagonist of a movie. This is what psychologists call performative romance. It's not about listening to her needs. It's about overwhelming her with his efforts so she feels guilty saying no. Now, look at Phil. Phil doesn't steal French horns. Phil fixes the loose step on the stairs. Okay. Well, he tries to. But look at the intent. When Phil learns the entire dance from High School Musical, he isn't doing it to look cool. He knows he looks ridiculous. He does it just to see them smile. That is the difference. Ted wants an audience. Phil wants a partner. Ted gives you a dopamine hit. Fast, intense, and addictive. Phil gives you serotonin. Stable, consistent, and safe. So for round one, the point goes to the cringe dad. Because in the long run, you don't need a guy who steals a horn. You need a guy who remembers how you take your coffee. But what happens when things go wrong? That brings us to round two. Round two, the ultimate test of a man's character. What happens when she says no? For Ted Mosby, the word no doesn't mean stop. It means convince me. He treats consent like a negotiation. The show actually admits this. They call it the Dobler-Dahmer theory. If she finds you attractive, it's romantic. Dobler. If she doesn't, it's criminal. Dahmer. But here is the problem. Ted feels entitled to be the Dobler. When the universe doesn't give him the girl, he doesn't move on. He spirals. He sulks. He makes her feel guilty for not loving him back. That is emotional coercion. Now, let's look at the king of rejection, Phil Dunphy. His father-in-law, Jay, rejected him for years. Did Phil slash Jay's tires? Did he write a manifesto? No. Phil practiced radical acceptance. He didn't need Jay's validation to feel like a man. Ted tries to force the yes by changing the narrative. Phil waits for the yes by simply being consistent. Psychologically, this is the difference between true confidence and narcissism. A confident man can handle a no because his self-worth comes from inside. An insecure man needs the yes because his self-worth comes from you. Round two goes to Phil, because a partner who respects your no is infinitely hotter than a partner who tries to debate it. But surely Ted wins on romance, right? Well, let's talk about the fixer mentality in round three. Round three, the championship round. How do they treat their partners once they actually get them? Ted Mosby treats relationships like a renovation project. He loves the idea of Robin, but he hates the reality of her. She doesn't want kids. He ignores it. She wants to travel. He complains. This is textbook psychological projection. Ted is in love with a fantasy version of Robin that lives in his head. When the real Robin acts like a human being, he punishes her for breaking character. Then there is Phil. Claire Dunphy is neurotic, controlling, and scary. And what does Phil do? He worships her for it. Phil isn't trying to fix Claire. He isn't waiting for her to become softer or calmer. He's her biggest fan exactly as she is. Ted loves you for who you could be. Phil loves you for who you are. One is a job interview. The other is a home. It's a clean sweep. The cringe dad destroys the hopeless romantic. Okay, real talk. Why do we still root for Ted? It's because we've been taught that butterflies are the goal. But in psychology, butterflies are often just your nervous system screaming that this person is unpredictable. Ted gives you that will they won't they anxiety. Phil gives you peace. And if you grew up in a chaotic house, peace feels boring. But boring is where the healing happens. Ted's idealism isn't a gift, it's a tax. See? Ted doesn't just want love, he wants a destiny. And the problem with dating an idealist is that you're always being compared to a version of you that doesn't exist. He's in love with the concept of the one. If you don't like the right book, or you don't laugh at the right time, Ted doesn't see a human, he sees a glitch in his movie. He's dating a ghost, and you're just a person standing in the way. But Phil is a realist. He knows Claire is a handful. He knows marriage is sometimes just arguing about where the remote is. He doesn't need life to be a sign from the universe to show up. He loves the reality, not the dream. Ted loves you for who you should be. Phil loves you for who you are. One of those feels like a constant audition. The other feels like home. Because Ted is such an idealist, he suffers from terminal main character syndrome. He thinks the universe is literally moving pieces around just to help him find a wife. It makes him blind to everyone else's needs. In today, we see this everywhere. We're so obsessed with the aesthetic of our lives, the ideal relationship, that we swipe past the Phils because they don't fit the grid. We're looking for a plot point, not a person. At the end of the day, Ted Mosby is a character you watch when you want to cry. But Phil Dunphy is the partner you choose when you want to live. One is a fantasy, the other is a home. So, here's your vibe check for the week. Does he listen? Does he show up when it's not cinematic? Does he make your life feel easier? If the answer is yes, stop looking for the blue horn. You've already won. Drop a red flag in the comments if you've ever dated a Ted, and a green circle if you finally found your Phil. I seriously want to hear the stories. Subscribe for more deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one.